What's up everybody, it's Sean here and I'm super excited to give you guys my early review of the Stone Island New Balance 991 V2. The New Balance 991 first released back in 2001, and unlike the 990 series, which has had a ton of updates throughout that sneaker's history, the 991 hasn't officially received a V2 version until over 20 years later. So the 991 V2 is officially debuting with the Stone Island collaboration, and they're releasing first at Stone Island stores and Stone Island's website on October 4th, and then there's going to be a wider release including on newbalance.com. That's happening, I believe, on October 18th. So this pair is set to retail for a price of 350 Canadian dollars, which is a very high price point, but a typical non-collaboration made in UK New Balance shoe, it actually doesn't retail for that much less. So 350 Canadian dollars translates to roughly 280 USD. And like I just mentioned, this pair is made in England, specifically in New Balance's Flimby factory. And the product code for this shoe is U991SD2. So at first glance, the colorway of this shoe is very dark and has a very dull appearance to it. And the reason for that is because Stone Island was inspired, and I quote, by adapted industrial spaces that served as venues and clubs. So that concept and theme explains why this shoe has more of that dark underground sort of feel. First things first though, here's a quick look at the packaging. So this comes in a natural brown colored cardboard box. We have the Stone Island compass logo on the very top, and then on the side of the box, here we have made in UK and New Balance branding. And here's a look at the size label as well. So you can see size 10 and that product code, which I just mentioned to you guys previously. As far as the shoe goes, so diving right into the details, on the toe box you can see the base layer of the sneaker. This is constructed out of a shiny olive colored mesh, which according to the New Balance website is inspired by the look of latticed metal. But you'll notice underneath this open style mesh, we have more of a traditional black colored mesh which sits underneath. Right above this, we have this reflective 3M layer in olive, and this covers both sides of the toe box as well. And then surrounding the front toe cap, we have this buttery soft black colored nubuck, and you'll notice that the overall shape of the shoe, it looks very sleek, very nicely slanted, and it doesn't have a bulky look to it whatsoever. So the same black nubuck covers the entire mid panel of the shoe, and then the top two eyelets are covered in this black colored TPU or plastic. And then stitched on top of the mid panel, we have the New Balance N logo, and this is done in this reflective 3M finish in a mix of gray and olive. Moving downwards, surrounding the ankle collar area, we have more of that open style mesh in olive, and then surrounding the heel of the sneaker, we have what feels like a texturized leather. It almost feels rubberized. We have this oval shaped cutout on the lateral side, revealing this 991 embroidery along with this olive colored 3M layer. And then we have another olive 3M layer in the middle of the heel, along with V2 branding embroidered across. And then the top of the heel, this is covered in what feels like more of a synthetic nubuck. And then on the bottom of the heel, we have a black colored TPU heel clip with New Balance branding, and this gives you additional structure and support for the back end of the sneaker. As far as laces go, so these come with two different lace options. The standard default lace and the one that I prefer are these flat style black laces, but they also give you a secondary dark gray colored lace if you want to give the shoe a little bit more contrast. Underneath this, the top layer of the tongue, this is covered in that same olive colored open style mesh, but we have this woven strip running down the center, which the laces loop through. And here we have New Balance branding embroidered in black. And then stitched on top of this, we have this square patch with Stone Island branding, giving it more of a militaristic feel and look. The back of the tongue, here we have Made in England branding, and you'll notice that both the back of the tongue and the inner collar of the shoe, this is covered in a gray colored mesh. As far as the insoles go, so nothing special here. These come with your typical foam line insole. It's done in gray, and we have Stone Island branding pressed onto the heel. So the upper of the 991 V2, this is probably one of the biggest upgrades for this shoe. So this comes with a full-length fuel cell foam midsole, which is one of New Balance's top cushioning technologies, which is commonly featured on their running shoes. But according to New Balance's website, they also incorporate a wedge of end cap which sits on the heel, which gives the shoe a bit more support and more of a sturdier feel. And in addition, we also have Absorb SBS. This is visible with these olive colored pods, which is seen on both the lateral forefoot as well as the lateral heel. And Absorb SBS, one of the main advantages of incorporating it is that it really helps with impact protection and shock absorption. Finally, turning this pair over to the bottom, here we have this translucent rubber outsole, revealing the Stone Island branding which sits underneath. And you can see the strike path which runs down the length of the shoe. This reveals that fuel cell foam layer which is encompassed within the midsole. So that breaks down the look and the construction of this pair. And in terms of sizing, that I'm sure is the million-dollar question that everyone's wondering about. So my foot measures as a true size 10, slightly on the wider side, and I wear a size 10 in the New Balance 991 V1. So I know there was some chatter online, people were saying that this shoe looks a bit more wide foot friendly, but after trying these on, I can confirm that they pretty much fit the same to me. So I got these in a size 10, and just like the V1, I could feel a little bit of that pressure around this area right here where the ball of my foot is, and the toe box itself feels a little bit narrow as well. So I definitely wouldn't want to go down a half size. Going true to size, the width of the shoe was good, it was a little bit snug but not uncomfortable, and it left me just over an index finger's width between the top of the shoe and the top of my toe. So I feel like if you have a narrow foot and you like more of that snug exact fit, then you can go half size down. But for everyone else, go with your normal 991 size, and if you've never worn a 991 before, go with your actual measured foot size. To give you guys a point of comparison, so I wear a size 10 in the 991 and the 991 V2, and in comparison, I go a half size down to a 9.5 in a lot of made in USA New Balance shoes like the 990 V3, V4, V5, V6, the 992, the 993, and a lot of my 550s that have a softer leather upper. And in comparison, I usually stick true to size or a size 10 in other silhouettes like the 990 V2, the 997, because I find that those two specific models, they have a bit more of a narrow toe box, and a lot of other made in UK models like the 1500, 1530, and a lot of made in Asia models like the 2002R, 1906R, 860 V2, all of those I almost always go true to size with a size 10. Next up in terms of the comfort, so these are definitely an upgrade over the 991. With the inclusion of this fuel cell foam in the midsole, it's definitely more plush underfoot, so I feel like it's an upgrade from a comfort standpoint. But if I'm comparing this to, for example, a 990 V6, I still feel like the V6 is a bit more comfortable compared to these guys. If you look at the shape of the midsole, you'll see how it's fairly chunky on the heel and then it tapers quite a bit on the forefoot. So because of that, I feel like the forefoot area of the sneaker, it feels a bit more minimalistic. There's not too much from a softness and cushioning standpoint, whereas on the heel of the shoe, I can feel a lot more cushioning. It feels much more cradled and has more of a softer feel there. And like I mentioned, because this forefoot area is a little bit narrow, I could feel a little bit of that pressure around the ball of my foot, but if my feet were any wider, it would be borderline uncomfortable. Finally, in terms of the quality and the craftsmanship on this shoe, so first off, material quality, I thought it was great. Everything from this buttery nubuck to this texturized leather that they use on the heel, I was very happy with the material quality. I really had no complaints from that standpoint. And same thing from the build, for the most part, it was solid. There were some minor issues with some dried glue strings I had to just pull off myself, and some small instances of some extra long threads that I simply just trimmed off myself. So no major issues at all. The paint job was solid. There weren't any major glue stains, at least that I could see. So considering the extremely high price point of this shoe, I came away feeling that it wasn't a total ripoff. So with all that out of the way now, let me toss these on feet. I'll lace them up and I'll show you guys how these look. This is honestly probably the top New Balance Stone Island collaboration so far. Although it's not going to be a colorway for everyone, it's a colorway that I personally really like. In my collection, I don't own too many black-based New Balance sneakers. For the most part, my pairs are usually gray, white, or just bold colors. So this is definitely a welcome change. And it's really no surprise that New Balance is leveraging a collaboration with Stone Island to launch this 991 V2 silhouette, but I've already seen pictures of some general release colorways of this silhouette that are set to drop a few weeks from now. So I believe there's a gray colorway, a black, and I believe a navy blue. Those classic New Balance colors. You're gonna have your opportunity to buy these on this 991 V2 silhouette very shortly. But as far as this colorway goes, again, I'm stoked to add this to my collection. This is just one of those great pairs that you can wear throughout fall and winter. And because of the tones of this shoe, it honestly just goes with anything that you wanna rock. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about this New Balance and Stone Island 991 V2? What are your overall thoughts on the colorway of this shoe, and what are your thoughts on this V2 silhouette? Are you a fan of the look of this shoe? Does it kind of remind you of the 993 in some respects? I can definitely see that with the midsole, and I think it looks pretty good. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can follow me on Instagram at esgo8, check out my Twitter or X account at sean.go spelled out, and visit my website at seango.ca. So thanks so much for watching. A huge thank you goes out to Stone Island for the hookup on this early review. Thank you for your continued love and support, and I'll catch you guys all in my next video.